The Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter the 2025 offseason looking to see how they can repeat as NFC South champs once again. My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we will be doing our first ever mock free agency for the Buccaneers here in the 2025 offseason. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to talk about several players we think they should keep, resign, and then have the great Chris Godwin debate that we love having with all you Buccaneers fans. It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we get into that, if you like the content that we put out and you want to help the channel grow, easiest way is hitting that subscribe button, tackling that bell. And while you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know what you want to see the Buccaneers do this free agency season. That being said, Ryan, let's pull it up here. So this is our first time doing this, so we would love also any feedback just in general on your guys' overall thoughts on how we can maybe just keep on improving this process. We've done a couple videos already, and it's been a lot of fun. All NFC South videos that should come out today, so go check those out as well. But here, let's just look at the current free agents as of right now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But going based off of just overall snap percentage, top guys, Ben Bredesen, starting left guard, Levante David as well, KJ Britt. A lot of the guys were extremely key contributors as well. Also including Anthony Nelson, Dro Tyrant Shoyenka. I think I did that correctly. Sterling Shepard as well. And then the big one too, Chris Godwin, who had the broken ankle as well in that unfortunate injury. I think playing the Baltimore Ravens as well, like a garbage time situation. But
yeah,
that's going to be very fun, and we're going to talk more about that as well too towards the latter half of this video, because that to me I think is the number one priority for the Buccaneers. And by priority, I mean, like, what do you do with him as well? Like, do you want to bring him back? And obviously the fan base, I think a lot of fans want to bring him back, but at the same time though too, it is going to be about 15 to 20 million dollars, give or take, that you guys just don't currently have as of right now. And we'll get into the cap space numbers here. So there's a lot of other guys as well that are a little bit lower, that played less minutes and are quite frankly, I would say actually just insignificant overall. When it comes to money
yeah,
wise, I'm sure they're great people. But here, though, overall, I think a lot of it is going to be Chris Godwin and then the first couple of names that we spoke about earlier, as this team is definitely star heavy when it comes to their
yeah.
contracts, and then heavily rely on their role players to contribute as well.
Yeah, and I do think like Joe Tryon Shoyinka, that's a former first round pick, Anthony Nelson, guy that played about 50% of the snaps there as well this past season. So like there are other names that they could potentially re-sign, but I do think whether they re-sign Chris Godwin or not is going to kind of dictate where this free agent class goes. They do have some other guys that are potential cut candidates. So honestly, let's just go ahead and get into it.
Yep.
So coming into this process, I'm going to leave the screen right here, but they were about even on the
Yep.
cap space. I think they were like $500,000. They had about $500,000 in free cap space. So to kind of clear things up, we restructured 3 contracts here. And Baker Mayfield, Tristan Wirfs, and Mike Evans. Just to make things kind of simple, we basically just prorated their contracts about $10 million, moved that, and just gave it to them up front, and then freed up that cap space there. And then some of the other things that we did to free up this cap space was we actually
Scroll down a
cut.
little bit more from like the
Oh,
screen
there
as
we
a
go.
whole. Just so we can see some more players. There you go.
So we actually cut Jamel Dean and Jordan Whitehead. This secondary struggled with injuries and consistency just kind of all throughout the season. And so moving on from these guys who have pretty significant cap savings, about 16 or $17 million there as a whole, I think would be really interesting. If you watch, I'll hit undo on Jamel Dean, and that cap space drops all the way down from about 41 to 28. So I think saving that $13 million might be worth it. I know he is a one of the better performing corners when he is on the field. But with that being said, I feel like there are other avenues that you can go that might be potentially cheaper than re-signing or than keeping Jamel Dean on the roster. I'm curious to hear Bucs fans thoughts on that. The other thing that it does do is it does give you the option to bring back Chris Godwin. If you don't release Jamel Dean, I do feel like that will kind of inhibit them from bringing back Chris Godwin altogether.
Well, and that's kind of the thing when it comes into this offseason and it comes to like this overall debate. It is going to be that like everything's going to evolve around I think Chris Godwin, because they're going to restructure. I think several of their star players' deals. They're going to get them a $10 million check or something, and which they'll gladly take, and then they'll just kind of spread that cap space out over the next several years as well, and have it be not too damaging overall to the overall bottom line over the next couple of years. But this year, though, it is just kind of that point. Like, do you want Chris Godwin or do you want Jamal Dean? And then if you keep Jamal Dean as well, you like might not have the money to re-sign Chris Godwin. But at the same time, though, too, you maybe could use that money and you can go and get him another corner to go along with him, or see what other potential safeties there are or guys in the secondary that could help out. Just for example, DJ Reed, he's probably going to be about 13 or $14 million. So if you keep Jamal Dean, and we're trying to get all of our cap space to about $15 million left, so that teams would obviously be able to see their sign their draft picks and then any other potential in season free agent moves that they need to make. So we're thinking 15 million might be a decent number overall, give or take a little bit. And so if you keep Jamal Dean, then you re-sign DJ Reed, or maybe you go and get like Javarius Ward or Carlton Davis, some other guys that are the top corners that are in this free agency class, you can really improve that secondary as well. But it would
Yeah.
require to lose Chris Godwin. And so, or at the same time, you can cut Jamal Dean as well and still go spend and not re-sign Chris Godwin also, and then still go get a lot of other guys as well. And so that's just even the secondary is what we talked about. But then even to in the edge class, maybe go get a guy like Chase Young, maybe go get a guy like Preston Smith or DeMarcus Lawrence, Matt Judon as well, who's going to be a free agent. Some other guys that would really fit that 3-4 scheme that you guys have going on down in Tampa. And that's where for me, I really like and respect Chris Godwin as a player. One of the reasons why like I hate going up against him, because he's torched the Falcons so many times. But he is going to be 29. He is going to be coming off a broken ankle. Even when he tore his ACL, it did take him a season to kind of start to come back. Like that next season after his torn ACL, he wasn't really the same player. Still trying to like bounce back and get back to the form that he was in when Brady was quarterback. And I'm wondering if it's going to be kind of the same thing with what I think is a much more serious injury when it comes to like that dislocated broken ankle. It was dislocated too, wasn't it? Like it was
Well,
broken.
yeah,
Like
it that kind of happens like when you break the like
all those little
not,
tiny bones down there.
all those little
Makes
tiny
sense.
bones. Like it just like I look at Keishon Boutte, he broke his ankle in college, and like his explosiveness has never been the same since
Yeah.
then.
Okay. And so that's what I think too. Is like it's a risk. You got to think about it. I understand he's a full fan favorite, but as I said, let's kind of go down this avenue of like, let's say they even cut uh, um, Jamal Dean as well, and they want to go a different route. Also, too, you can go and sign DJ Reed, who I think is probably going to be one of the top guys. It's going to be much more affordable, and I think that would be like maybe $14 million. And so let's just go see what that will look like, and we can just do the 1 year. Let's not even worry about uh, um, how big that
Yeah.
contract would be. Okay, so
So you get
now
DJ Reed. Well,
that puts them at 27 million.
yeah, so 27.7. And then now you have DJ Reed, Zion McCollum. That's a pretty good corner duo. They are going to lose. Like Levante David is a free agent. He's also 35. Joe Tryon Shoyinka hasn't worked out as well. They are in a spot where they could draft an edge rusher, but a guy that I kind of had in mind for them was Hassan Reddick. Also probably going to be on a 1 year deal. Uh, I don't know why it's doing that, but I think you could get him for about $8 million. And so I think if you go, you put $8 million into him. If he can come in here and when he's played a full season, he's been a double digit sack guy the last few times that he's played a full season. So I think you can add about 8 million there. That puts you at 20 million. You go add those two guys, and then I still feel like who are some of the other, I guess, lower level wide receiver free agency you could go and potentially sign uh, for about $5 to $6 million.
Yeah, let me go pull that up here real quick.
So
And so
Brandon Cooks is one that's a year or two older than
he's gonna be
uh,
too expensive for that. I was looking, if you're looking at a guy who I think would be similar, I think a guy like Darius Slayton, I think would be interesting as well to maybe kind of replace some of that production. I think KJ Osborne actually would fit well in the system,
Yeah.
because where we've seen KJ Osborne thrive has when he's been the 2B or like 3A type receiver. And if you go
Yeah.
look at that offense, obviously everything rotates around Mike Evans, but we've seen the rise of Jalen McMillan. Kate Otten is a very solid tight end for that team as well. I think KJ Osborne would kind of morph right into that type of system of what they would have. And he would be that $4 million as well. And so scroll up a little bit. What's that? Their current cap space
They have
that they're at
about
right now?
20.4 million, 20.3,
Okay.
20.4. So if you go get a KJ Osborne, another guy that is a free agent, also a little bit older, and on the decline would be Tyler Boyd. KJ Osborne would be a little bit younger, I
Yeah.
believe. And so let's go KJ Osborne. Um,
He would be about
I'll do
3.5
three.
million.
Yeah, 3.5.
Yeah.
Um,
You gotta spell it all out.
I know,
Nope,
not
not
35.
35 million. He's not
Yeah.
worth that much.
No. And so like that is another option there, I think, that you could do. And I feel like this makes the team a lot better. I think you can lean into Jalen McMillan taking on a larger role in his second season in the NFL under Mike Evans. Also, too, they have a decent bit of draft capital, if I'm not mistaken. And so you can go and get a wide receiver in the draft in that first, second, or third round, really even because I think you have done a good job of filling out your roster. Could also, like, I look at Malachi Starks at pick 19 there in the second round, Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston Jr., I believe, from Penn State. Like, there are a lot of safety options in this draft to go and kind of fill in some of the holes that are there. I am curious, like, what do you think Justin Simmons would go for? He's an older safety, but he
Well,
played for
and
the Falcons and is most likely going to hit free agency.
coming from Atlanta, he's gonna be more of a strong safety too as well. So Falcons got him for 7 million. And so
Okay.
I was just even thinking that as well. So let's say put him at 7 million for
Okay.
that cap space. Remove Hassan Reddick in his cap space, and then scroll down a little bit as well, and then undo Jamal Dean. So let's say they want to keep Jamal Dean, and then they did move it down to 6 million, but they can also to restructure some other contracts to where they can move in some more money. Like so, as Ryan said at the beginning, we gave Baker Mayfield, Tristan Wirfs, and Mike Evans $10 million each, so $30 million. Let's say we bump that up to $13 million each, so adding on another 9 million. That will put them exactly in their spot as well. And really, kind of the reason why we're bringing this up and talking about this is kind of still overarching around this Chris Godwin conversation on if we keep him or not. He is going to be 15 to 18 million dollars in that range. Now, I guess you could just restructure some more of these deals to where you can improve on the like you just have more cap space to just go and resign. But then to go and resign him to, and let's just put I'd
Well,
say
right now he has some guaranteed money, so his cap number would be about 20 million.
okay, so let's just do that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so just having Chris Godwin puts you uh at about 21. And then from there, you could go and maybe make some other moves, but you are handicapping yourself in terms a little bit in terms of going and kind of spreading the wealth around your roster and filling multiple holes to make this team go from not just a
exactly.
division champion to a potential Super Bowl team.
Exactly, and that's where that debate comes into play. So that's like when we're saying like me in particular, and I love to hear from the comments overall, and I hope you guys all see my argument now for why like Chris Godwin might not be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year, because if they're trying to really improve this overall defense and definitely help out the secondary, what are going to be the moves that they make? You could, as we showed, you could keep Jamal Dean, sign DJ Reed. You can maybe even go and get some guys later on, like in the safety, to help out as well, such as like Justin Reed or Marcus Epps, guys who might be a little bit cheaper. Bring them in and improve on Antoine Winfield, and still go get a veteran receiver that can come in and help and contribute to this young receiving core. And so that's just going to be fascinating on the Buccaneers how they handle this Chris Godwin situation, because that once when they figure that out, then the dominoes are going to fall, because we're going to have a much clearer picture on the route that they want to go and do. Do they want to spend all their money on one player, or maybe do they want to try and diversify across several positions and get several really good players to help out on this defense? That's what's going to be fascinating for the Buccaneers. We're going to find out a lot more too once when the combine comes in, because I am going to be curious if some of these cornerbacks really come and show out at the combine. It might help out with keeping Chris Godwin as well, because the Buccaneers could be at 19 and be like, I really like Benjamin Morrison. I really like Siobhan Ravel. I really like Jade Barron. If any one of those guys is there, we're going to take the guy that we like the most. Or if some of those guys are gone, but one of them is left and they like that guy, then they'll take quarterback and start to improve the secondary that way and improve that defense that way as well. And so they can maybe free up some, still save a lot of cap space for Chris Godwin and not worry about that in the secondary. So that's what's going to be fascinating overall. I hope that like was a very clear picture of kind of the interesting Chris Godwin dilemma that the Buccaneers are in.
Yeah, no, and I'm kind of in that same situation or that same mindset as you of like they could bring back Chris Godwin. You could bring back the 29-year-old wide receiver coming off a season-ending ankle injury and risk it for $20 million, or you can go and sign some younger, well, I say younger, but some less handicapping deals because also too you have to think big picture. We only signed Chris Godwin to a 1-year deal. If he's signing like let's say a 2-year $36 million deal with the Bucs to stay there, that's now impending on or impeding on the 2026 cap as well, where he's now a 30-year-old wide receiver. And again, I know he's a fan favorite. It just there's a balance there in the NFL, and so I'm really curious to see. The one thing that I am certain about with Chris Godwin is he is going to hit the open market. There are going to be other teams that will probably make bids for him in free agency. Just because I don't think they're going to tag him. They could reach an extension before free agency hits. But I do think that he will probably hit the open market and the Bucs will test the waters there with
Yeah.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. And I think that could be something. Maybe I'm sure there's medical reports that are going on internally from the
Certainly.
Buccaneers and with Chris Godwin that, and teams are definitely going to want to know that they're not just going to give him $20 million for, um, and your ankle still shot. And another thing too, as well, we're talking about this. We keep saying 20 million, maybe because of that, he's fine taking a lower price, staying in Tampa.
Yeah.
We're going to any team that he likes for like 14 million or something like that. So he is a really good receiver. It was extremely sad to see the injury that he had there, especially to being down 2 scores against Baltimore and kind of like some garbage time minutes as well in that game. And so to see him go down like that after having a great season, and Mike Evans went down in that game too, it was just unfortunate overall. And so, but it brings up this very interesting dilemma and this fun debate that I know I'm having fun with speaking with you Buccaneers fans. So definitely let us know your thoughts. I'm very curious on this one here and what you guys think the Bucs should do.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this video. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And other than that, we'll see you guys next time.